How will the Noles look with the Alabama Crimson Tide coming to Doak Campbell Stadium? The 2025 season is here.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Well, it is Friday, day before the game, and the Noles, well, they're going to be one day out, one more sleep before Alabama comes to town. I'm going to give my prediction at the end of this short show. Just going to talk about a few key points, have a quick break, and then hit the prediction. Here are a couple questions that I have. Are they going to be able to kind of have the moments, like the key opportunities in the game, go their way and create their own? That's my number one question in this game. At least early on, I totally expect Florida State to. Secondarily, does Tommy Castellanos have a few wow moments? I'm going to go into depth on that. And then third, again, it's going to be all about the prediction. But part of that, again, everybody has their own take on it, but we need to talk a little defense on that too. But let's start off with the must-have moments. Let me give you a couple of examples. I've said a few times this week and on some other podcasts too, special teams will be massive. Fumbles, interceptions, tip passes. And I want to come back to my two rules as well. All of these things come into one scenario. Must have. Ball up in the air. Darrell Jackson Jr. tips the ball up in the air and a linebacker has a freebie. You got to catch it. Not only do you have to catch it, you got to punch that sucker and get to the outside and score. Can't drop it. For the love of mankind. Against Bama especially. Cannot drop it. Number two, any fumble opportunity, any 50-50 ball. You hear about that in basketball, like 50-50 loose ball. Florida State's got to have it. No questions. Florida State's got to have it. I want to see that effort. I want to see the same grit and determination that I saw with the 2013 team, some of the teams under Bowden, et cetera, for just the longest time. I want to see that effort. If Florida State shows that, you may not get 100% of them. I get it. Sometimes football bounces funky. But with Florida State last year, do we really think we were getting maximum effort on a consistent basis? I don't. And I highly doubt, based on all the comments that I would see on the YouTube page for Locked On Seminoles, you folks, you're a smart lot. You didn't think so either. I want to see that from game one. And that's why I talked so much the other day about Norvell's press conference. He seemed pretty comfortable. He gave a little prop to Alabama just briefly, but he said, we're worried about what we do. I liked it. I think that's a sign that he knows they're probably overmatched, but he's trying to coach his team to get better, to get to the promised land. And that's the absolute right objective. Worry about the process. Worry about the characters in your locker room, the leadership and all that stuff, because then those little things with the 50-50 balls, it's not 50-50 anymore. It's more like 65-35 in your advantage. Florida State needs to have that. I'm curious to see what kind of effort they have from the get-go, but I fully expect it to be elite. That place is going to be electric. And by the way, I've said this a few times, shout out to everybody, and I truly mean everybody, that got Doak ready, all the different renderings, photos. When I went there a few times over the last year or so, it was still in way, way different construction area. And all of a sudden it was just done. Like, it's amazing how well they did with that. So I'm very happy for all the folks that are going to be there at the game. I think you're going to have a blast. And I think it's going to be loud. They just need something to cheer for, especially in that first quarter. Florida State's got to come out hot. Any turnover opportunity, again, fumbles, ball pops in the air, sacks, stripping. Don't just hit him to the ground. Knock the ball loose. Ty Simpson's a senior, redshirt junior, but he's not a veteran in terms of playing time. He's rode the pine. If you fluster him early, anything is possible. Ryan Williams can help you if the quarterback is flustered and seeing ghosts. So that first 5-10 minutes, very, very important for the Noles. Now let's talk about Tommy Castellanos. I think he's going to make some plays, and they're probably going to let him run a little bit more in this game. The Miami game, the Florida game, this one, Clemson, maybe NC State. For whatever reason, Florida State never really plays well up there in Raleigh. Those games, I think Tommy will have more designed runs, and they'll give him a little longer leash in terms of play calls. Like he'll get 2 play calls in the huddle or something, 1 run, 1 pass. They may be a little more aggressive with the run look because of who they're going against, and they need chunk yardage plays. Does Tommy deliver? This is the area I'm most confident when Tommy, and I've seen him play live multiple times, so I know the athlete. One-on-ones, whether it's in the backfield to make a guy miss, whether it's to get outside on an RPO, whether it's a quarterback sweep, buck sweep, draw, counter, quarterback power, anything, broken play. First guy, Tommy's going to make a miss far more often than not. That is an incredible athlete. That crowd is going to feed off of that. He has to make that play and then maximize it. Once you get into the open space, make good decisions, tuck the football. Like all the fundamental things are always valuable. But again, in this game especially, Florida State fans need a reason to be loud from the outset. First quarter, Tommy's got to do it. And then, of course, I talked about this the other day too, the deep ball. Will Tommy be able to hit a few shots? Alabama's secondary is incredible, but so is Deuce Robinson. Squirrel's a guy that doesn't get enough credit. I'm really confident in Boggs from everything that the coaches have said, and I've seen him play live too. Like he's got incredible hands. They should be pretty good at receiver because, in my opinion, with Landon Thomas, Amari Williams, Randy Pittman, Marcus and Douglas, I mean, they've got enough guys. They should be able to hit some play. It may not be the 1988 San Francisco 49ers here, but they should be able to hit some plays. But it starts with Tommy's legs, bringing the safeties up, and then you can take more shots. This is not rocket science. Gus's offense works off of play action and RPO action, and Castellanos was handpicked. That was the guy they wanted, and they got him to UCF, and now they've all met back up at Florida State. Let's see how that rolls. We come back, a couple of notes about the defense, and also a little bit of something that I think is important from a mentality standpoint. That is next here on Locked On Seminoles. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. I'm hoping you are too, because this is a blast. It's my favorite sport. The tailgates, the rivalries, all the energy in the stands, there's just nothing else like it. But let's be real, actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless opportunities for different hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout, all kinds of different things can go wrong. That's why I use Gametime, and you should too. The app gives you the advantage to the fans yourself, and that way you don't have to get frustrated or hurt your wallet. I use Gametime for a couple of reasons. Number one, convenience. It's a lot faster than most apps. A couple clicks, you can find the game you want, and then you can also find the seat you want and actually see it on your tablet or phone where you're at in your seat, to the 50-yard line or to the pitcher's mound or to the stage at a theater, whatever it may be. You can get great deals too. Last-minute ticket deals, $25, it's possible. Make sure you check out the Gametime app. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Gametime. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I truly appreciate you stopping in to get all your latest football news on the Florida State Seminoles. A couple of quick notes and questions about the Florida State defense, then my prediction. Number one, I think Darrell Jackson's going to have a pretty good game, but don't look at it from a perspective of tackles for loss, sacks. Why? Well, for one, the guy in front of him is an NFL player, the center for Alabama, and two, they're probably going to double him. That's unfortunate for Darrell's stat sheet, but I also think that's going to help all the linebackers. Nicholson, Cryer, whoever ends up, they're going to rotate a bunch of guys. Herring, those guys need to feast. Alabama's going to come at them downhill. They got big backs. I expect that to be priority one for Alabama. They want to set up play action and get Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard deep. I would. Any smart coordinator would. And Grubb is known to be a passing guy, more than run, but he's the running back talent they have at Bama. It's too easy not to want to run the ball. They got a plethora of big backs that are very talented. Can Alabama get 4+ yards per carry in that first quarter? That's the objective. You're trying to keep them below at minimum. If Alabama doesn't hit that mark, this game is totally different. If they do, or they're at least on the cusp and it just continually gets better through the first quarter and in the second quarter, that's a major concern for me. And that's one of my prime points here. I think that especially with the big fella, the freshman not being in the game, he's banged up. It's unfortunate. They absolutely could not lose him for this game. And of course, he gets hurt. Florida State has just continued to be snake bitten by just nagging injuries, but I digress. I don't think Florida State's depth is anywhere near, not even in the stratosphere of what I expected. Some of the transfers, haven't heard as much about them. Some of the guys like KJ Sampson, we haven't heard anything about him really in fall camp. I'm concerned about that. I'm not going to sit here and lie to anybody, and I think that is a major albatross. I think Florida State will keep it close early, but in 100-degree heat, it's going to be hot. It's going to be muggy. It's Tallahassee in late August. Alabama has more depth. They must find a way to get a lead to have any chance in this game early and make Alabama play against the grain. Turnovers, again, are just absolutely pivotal. Maybe there's going to be something they can get from creating a few third and longs early on and maybe a pick or two from Simpson. If that happens, anything is plausible. With that in mind, if Florida State doesn't do that, I mean, they still got to win on third down. There's always that chance. They got a pretty talented secondary. I'm curious to see what happens. I don't have any specific expectations on who leads in tackles or anything like that. But Earl Little, tons of respect. Jerry, I mean, everybody loves him at corner. Some of the guys like Barker, they've got so many talented players. I think it'll take care of itself, but they're going against an elite unit. Did they or did they not? This is nothing against them. It's first game. Pick up a system that is about as polar opposite as what they ran last year as it can be. And that means every single player. That is a lot to ask. There cannot be a single bust in this game. That is almost ridiculous to ask. But that's what needs to happen against Bama. You can't give a young or inexperienced, I guess I should say, quarterback in this case, and Ty Simpson, room for error. If he gets any free touchdowns and he gets his confidence up and they get momentum, you'll take the crowd out. That could be bad for Florida State. Really, really bad. That's my other concern. Depth on the D-line and hitting big plays. Those are the two things that I don't know about, but I think Florida State will play with effort, and I think they will turn Bama over at least once. I think the defense is going to be better than people think. I have a lot of confidence in the defensive staff, Tony White, et cetera. They're really good. But the depth, I think, will cause them to wilt, and I don't have very much faith in Florida State's offensive line, to be honest, in pass protection. I think offensively that will be a massive advantage for Alabama. Run blocking, I think Florida State will do pretty well. But as I see it, I think this game will be close for about 2.5 quarters, and then FSU will run out of gas, and I think Alabama will pull away late. I got Alabama with all the news with the depth chart and the walk-ons and everything else. I got Alabama 38-17. I think Florida State will be close, 24-17 in the third quarter, and then Bama will tack on a couple of touchdowns over the last quarter and a half. But I think this will be a sign that Florida State is starting to take the small steps forward to be a better program. A lot of people say, Brian, that's 21 points. Yeah, but it's a team that might win the national title, and Florida State's coming off 2 wins. This is going to be a very slow ascension. I'm not here to tell people lies. From all the intel that I got, phone calls, talking to people that have connections at Alabama, connections at Florida State, etc., I had congruent information on what everybody thought. Not a single person I spoke to thought this was going to be a close game. Not one. I'm not going to lie to anybody on both sides. Not one. So that does not bode well, because these are people that have access to stuff that I do not, like practice. And that doesn't make me feel good, but I still believe in the long-term vision and some of the things that Norvell and the coaching staff talked about in terms of getting the character situation fitted. Obviously, Conrad Hussey's gone, etc. I think this is the beginning step for Florida State football to get back to being something that it should have never lost. So we'll see how it goes. But for anybody going to the game, enjoy it. It should be a lot of fun. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of photos, but I'm curious what you guys think of all the different stuff around the stadium, statues, paintings, anything else. I'd love to hear some of those stories here. make sure you comment down below about it. And later next week, I actually want to have a segment on that. Probably have a live show. I want to go over that. So thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day. We will see you again soon.